I am curious, is happiness really like a burrito, like it is for this character? Have you ever found happiness in food and at any time?
I find only happiness in food. Like I'm with it. Really weirdly, I flew back from had to go and do some pre-production stuff on the next movie I'm doing. So I've been in London for 5 days. I got back to LA last night, and I landed at 6:30 at night. And I text my wife straight away when I got in the car saying, "I need Mexican food." Like I just had it. You know, when you get something in your head that's the only thing that will satisfy you. So I actually didn't have any burrito last night, but I had like 6 tacos last night. And I was definitely in a happy place when I got home because the Postmates, like, it arrived as my car got back from the airport. It arrived literally at the same time, so I didn't even have to wait for the food. It was amazing.
For me, it usually involves dark chocolate, but I completely understand. So, well, I'm curious. I mean, when this came your way, how much were you actually told? Did you get to read all of the scripts? Did you have to wait to read some of them? Because I think these writers are great. I've seen a lot of their stuff, but their stories are always kind of insane.
Yeah, they're always mad and they're always very hard to predict. Um, and I too have been keeping a bit of an eye on Jack and Harry and what they've been doing, and they've been having a good run. You know, whether it's stuff that they've written or stuff that they've been creatively involved in or producing. I feel like they're on a purple patch, and uh, I think when it first came my way, there was only maybe episodes 1 to 3. Um, Maybe then I spoke to them after 1 to 3, then they let me read 4, and then we went to work. Like, it was crazy because then 5 and 6 weren't written fully written until we were out in Australia shooting. So, and they changed, and they changed a lot in some ways. But and we did a couple of alternate endings, and we played around with stuff. But that was enough to know that it was something I wanted to be involved in. It was I feel like there was just so much going on and so many exciting and unexpected twists along the way, and things for me to grab a hold of as an actor that I was in.
What was it like to finally read that last script once it was finished and learned where you would leave things?
Well, I don't think I've ever worked harder in my life than I have on this job, and it was like the longest shoot I've ever done and the hardest shoot for physically, mentally, so many reasons. My character's never in some calm state. It was an easy day at work. It's always this mad state of flux that he was in. Um, but as a result of just constantly working, and I had so few days off, um, when 6 came in, finished, it took me a while to get to it, to be able to find the time. Because I'm also coming home to, 3 kids and, the madness of home life. And they were all out there with me. And so it was, my weekends were insane as well as my weekdays when I was working, so it took it. I read 6 probably certainly later than Danielle McDonald, because what she texts me going like, "Oh my god, have you read 6?" And I was like, "No." She was like, please read it and get back to me." And I was like, "Okay." And then it probably took me another week before I even got to reading it, to be honest. But yeah, just like every other episode, unexpected. Um, but I loved it, and I kind of, we were only ever making one of these. It was only ever like, let's just do one series, and that remains the setup. But I know there's certainly, when UK and Ireland and Australia and anywhere that's seen it, and the reception's been so insane, there's definitely a demand and a want for more. So we'll talk about that. We'll see what happens.
Did he ultimately turn out to be anything that you thought he would be from reading those first three scripts?
I think you always have a bit of an idea of what you're going to do with the character, or how the character is going to be portrayed, or how he's going to land with people, and then ultimately there's so many mitigating factors that alter that, you know. Um, and I think probably for the man more than any other character, like he ended up becoming something just other maybe than I expected him to be, and I felt this sounds so silly based on the premise of the show, but I felt like I was constantly finding new stuff about him because I was, and that was my process for this character, which is different to any process I've ever done for any character I've ever played. It's like trying to trying to block out anything that was revealed about him so that it felt fresh. And as a result, I felt like he kept changing, and in my mind and in my portrayal of him kept altering as the information was given to me, which is unlike anything else I've done before, So yeah, I think the audience go on this crazy ride of discovery with him. Some of it really funny and interesting, and much of it dark, so that it was never a dull moment.
You had Belfast and Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar both come out the same year last year. People loved both of those movies, even though they couldn't be more different from each other. So how do you feel about the responses you've heard from fans when it comes to those projects? Are you surprised that people reacted to them the way that they did?
Yeah, I mean, I probably haven't done a deep dive into the proper sort of fan reaction to them, but like I know on a general level that there's a lot of love. Critically we got a lot of love, obviously, for both those films. And it's a cool thing when they're so different and you've offered up a very different side of yourself, to both be received in that way. It's satisfying. It's cool. It's what you want. You want to constantly be mixing it up and changing people's perception and idea of you as an actor, I think. So it's been a good thing. And then, so far, don't know what it's like in the States yet, but in the UK and Ireland and Australia and everything, the reception to the Tourist has been so off the charts great that it's like it's the first time in my career I've been sitting here with three movies or three projects in a row that have been received this well. So I'm just trying to enjoy that. I know it's not always the way of it, but I will lap it up and I'll enjoy it whilst it remains. It's been cool, and again, the Tourist is something totally different again altogether, and I love that, and I want to keep doing that. I want that to be my career. I want to constantly be playing with people's idea of who they think I am. That's exciting to me.
How does that affect the next choice? I mean, what goes into the thinking of like what you're working on now? How did you come to deciding that that would be the next project?
It's just a challenge. It's simply that. It's always like, what's a challenge? What? You can never predict where your head is going to be in a year, 2 years, 3 years. So you can never be like, I've always said this, you cannot plan in this industry. You can't. No matter who you are, what's offered to you, or whether you can't get an audition for 2 years, or whether you're being offered every single job in the world for your career, you can't really plan in a big way, because you can change. You can go, well, I've just had this experience on this job and it's made me feel like the next thing I want to do is this, or the next thing I want to do that, and you don't know how that's going to be until the experience has happened. And I feel very lucky, always have for the last 10 years, let's say, that I've had a choice in what I do. And I want to make the most of that choice. And I have the next thing I'm doing, this Heart of Stone for Netflix, is like a very different world than I've been in before. Just as Barb and Star was a very different world, and Belfast the Tourist is a million different worlds than I've been in before. So that's exciting to me, and I want to keep mixing it up and working with cool people that will challenge me. So yeah, I feel that that's how I've ended up doing what I'm doing next, and I I have a pretty good idea of what I'm doing. As much as I said, I don't want to plan. You can't plan. I'm trying to, only because I've written something as well that is in my future of making that. So again, that's a million miles away from everything I've done. So like, just constantly trying to mix it up and challenge yourself, I guess, is what leads you to these choices.
Well, thank you for talking to me about it. And thank you for keeping me on my toes, because now I'm at the point where I have no idea what you're going to be in next or who the character is going to be. And I love that as a viewer. So thank you.
Thanks, Christina. Thank you.